Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and so many of the witnesses, I was going to ask a question about the loan guarantee program, but so many of the witnesses and my colleagues have mentioned the loan guarantee program that I just want to say that yesterday I sent a letter with the chairman and my colleagues, Senator Landrieu and Wyden and Coons and Johnson and Shaheen, urging that Senator McConnell and Reed not consider any H.R. 1 language in the continuing resolution that would gut the loan guarantee program. This is about 58,000 construction jobs, 30 billion in clean energy projects, and I think it's very important that we make sure that the CR does not include that gutting proposal. I think you all have done a good job this morning of discussing the whys of that, but just know that we are fighting to make sure that isn't part of a continuing resolution. I also want to associate myself with my colleague Senator Murkowski about the ethanol. I've never understood why the ethanol, I understand why the ethanol producers have some anxiety about lifting the tax barriers on ethanol, but at the same time, I think it would have helped create the market faster and allowing that import. But I want to go to this question of gas prices and how alternative fuel, what we really need to be doing to drive down, the price. I mean, Brazil was staring at $147 oil and basically had the ability to have 90% of their vehicles be flex fuel vehicles, and so when the price spiked, they just turned over to their domestic production. So they basically insulated their economy from those gas spikes. And here we are with the same choice now of saying we could move forward and insulate ourselves from those gas price spikes if we gave ourselves an alternative to the monopoly that is currently oil, and particularly foreign oil. And so first I wanted to ask Mr. Carr, were there any technical or economic hurdles for making those flex fuel cars for the Brazilians?
No, and I don't think I don't think the concern is that we can't make flex fuel vehicles. As I said in my testimony, we're supportive of flex fuel technology and have put over 8.2 million on U.S. roads today. So they're not technical hurdles currently. There are potential technical hurdles having to do with the next round of smog-forming emissions, but there are not technical hurdles.
Yeah, different. And we came very close. The Senate actually passed language as part of the 2007 energy bill that would have required 50% of cars to be flex fuel cars, but in the negotiations with the House, unfortunately, that provision was dropped. So, but as far as the fuel, though, if we had a fleet like that, do you think that the alternative sources could help us drive down the price, and how do you see the price? I mean, maybe Mr. Deneen, how do you see current alternative fuel prices, compared to gasoline today, and how do you see that for the future, particularly if we had, a 50% fleet or something like that?
Well, Senator, you're absolutely right that Brazil has insulated itself from those energy shocks by just giving its consumers the flexibility. The flex fuel vehicles are about 50% of the automotive fleet in Brazil. The rest of the vehicles run on a 25% ethanol blend. So, I mean, they have maximized their use of renewable fuels, and it's a heck of a program. Their 50% of the fleet, compares to our 3% of the fleet being FFV. So we do need to do far more. If we're able to, there's no question it will continue to have a beneficial impact on gas prices. And I say continue to have because, as I said, ethanol today is driving down the price of gasoline. It's a little hard to really recognize it when you got $4 a gallon, but because ethanol today is 50 cents cheaper than gasoline, it's already driving down the price of motor fuel. And just by the fact that we have 13 billion gallons of domestic renewable fuel adding to our gasoline pool, that is driving down the price of fuel generally. So the economists have generally said that the 13 billion gallons of ethanol that we're using today is responsible for 15 to 50 cents reduced price on gasoline. If there's more FFVs, if there are more biofuels, when we get to the point when there's 36 billion gallons of fuel from domestic renewables in this country, gasoline prices will have to moderate, no question.
So the faster that we can go on that, the more we're going to see a drop in gasoline prices. I think that's the headline for today. I mean, consumers all over America want to know. I mean, I personally think the era of cheap oil is over, and that all we are now is on the roller coaster. And so this is about whether we're going to allow the U.S. economy to be continually subject to that level of volatility, and or whether we're going to produce something that is going to take that monopoly and give it some competition. So I appreciate your testimony today about this, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the hearing.